Good morning, brothers and sisters. Have you shouted for joy yet? It's so exciting to read the Song of Solomon, for the heart of the Lord has shown to us. He has expressed his love and affection from the depth of his heart through the Song of Solomon. We have to shout for joy. The Lord loves to bring us into his chambers, so we are close with him. He is our satisfaction and enjoyment. Let us shout for joy. The Lord loves to be with us. His desire is for us. We are his delight. Yay! So precious. We are the Lord's darling love. The longer I believe in the Lord, the more I treasure the Song of Solomon. It takes the whole Bible to tell us the appreciation and the desire of the Lord. For it is necessary. It's so easy to hear somebody call you, "Hey, beautiful," or "Hi, handsome." I think you will not take it seriously. Even if you heard it, you would disagree with that, for it is a casual compliment. But the sincere commendation means a lot to you. We don't want the tacky appellation. The worst is the fake calling. However, there is Song of Solomon in the Bible. How precious and detailed are the praising and the appreciation. Definitely, it is real. The compliment of the Lord is delivered through understanding. That means he cherishes very much his declaration of love and affection. Not only he sees our appearance, our behavior, he even knows our innermost. We are his one and the only, matchless. He loves us with his pure heart. Hence, if you read the Song of Solomon, not only you can feel the Lord's personal love, as well as the love of his delight and his desire. I'd like to sing a hymn with you in Song of Love, Song 184, His Delight and Desire. We will sing the second, the third, and the sixth stanzas. I have captured your heart and sight. I'm your lily among thorns, your banner on me is love. Now I know you delight in me. Forever, Lord, you are a man. You came leaping on mountains to see my face and hear my voice. Now I know you delight in me. My eyes have overcome you. I capture your heart and sight. I'm your only perfect one. Now I know you delight in me. I hope you have time to quiet yourself and respond to him, or you can sing another hymn to worship the Lord. Let's have some time to be with him face to face. You can stop the recording and we'll read the Bible when you're done. May the Lord bless you. Brothers and sisters, we'll read in 1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 1 to verse 17. David fled from Naioth in Ramah and came and said to Jonathan, "What have I done? What is my iniquity? What is my sin before your father, that he sees my life?" He said to him, "Far from it, you will not die. Behold, my Father does nothing either great or small, but that he discloses it to me. Why would my Father hide this thing from me? It is not so." David swore moreover and said, "Your father knows well that I have found favour in your eyes." And he says, "Don't let Jonathan know this, lest he be grieved. But truly as the Lord lives, and as your soul lives, there is but a step between me and death." Then Jonathan said to David, "Whatever your soul desires, I will even do it for you." David said to Jonathan, "Behold, today is the new moon, and I should not fail to dine with the king. But let me go, that I may hide myself in the field to the third day at evening. If your father misses me at all, then say, 'David earnestly asked leave of me that he might run to Bethlehem, his city, for it is the yearly sacrifice there for all the family.' If he says, 'It is well,' your servant shall have peace. But if he is angry, then know that evil is determined by him. Therefore deal kindly with your servant, for you have brought your servant into a covenant of the Lord with you. But if there is iniquity in me, kill me yourself, for why should you bring me to your father?" Jonathan said, "Far be it from you. For if I should at all know that evil were determined by my father to come on you, then wouldn't I tell you that?" Then David said to Jonathan, "Who will tell me if your father answers you roughly?" Jonathan said to David, "Come, let's go out into the field." They both went out into the field. Jonathan said to David, "By the Lord, the King of Israel, when I have sound out my father about this time tomorrow or the third day, behold, if there is good towards David, won't I then send to you and disclose it to you? The Lord do so to Jonathan and more also, should it please my father to do you evil, if I don't disclose it to you and send you away, that you may go in peace. May the Lord be with you as he has been with my father. You shall not only show me the loving kindness of the Lord while I am still alive, that I not die, but you shall also not cut off your kindness from my house forever. No, not when the Lord has cut off every one of the enemies of David from the surface of the earth." So Jonathan made the covenant with David's house, saying, "The Lord will require it at the hand of David's enemies." Jonathan caused David to swear again, for the love that he had to him, for he loved him as he loved his own soul. Then Jonathan said to him, "Tomorrow is the new moon, and you will be missed, because your seat will be empty. When you have stayed 3 days, go down quickly and come to the place where you hid yourself when this started, and remain by the stone Azor. I will shoot 3 arrows on its side, as though I shoot at a mark." The passage we're reading speaks of David coming to Jonathan to ask what had happened and why Saul pursued him in this chapter. Do you remember? In the previous chapter, Saul came to Samuel's hometown to pursue David, but the Spirit of God prevented him, and David took this opportunity to escape. Where did he go? He went back to Jonathan, which revealed David trusts Jonathan a lot. He knew Jonathan would never betray him. Even he wouldn't worry to tell Jonathan his movement, which demonstrated deep trust and friendship between them. David had formed an alliance with Jonathan in the past. Jonathan had put in a good word for David before Saul, telling him that David struck down the Philistines and saved Israel. Therefore, Saul told Jonathan that he swore he would not kill David. You can refer to the previous chapter 19, verse 6. I believe Jonathan also believed his father would not kill him. However, Saul lied and broke his oath. He kept pursuing David and hid from Jonathan. In fact, As you can see, Jonathan and David both were pure and not calculating through their conversation from verse 1 to verse 17. No wonder they became close friends. I felt the hearts of these two, David and Jonathan, were simple and pure. Truly, it was admirable. So, Jonathan's father sought to kill David. However, he sought refuge with his friend. He didn't have a clue why Saul wanted to kill him. He hadn't done anything wrong. In fact, human nature is complex, and David's heart was pure. He didn't have any negative thoughts. Instead, he wondered if he had done something wrong. He didn't say any bad things behind Saul's back, but defended him before Jonathan. David asked Jonathan because he wanted to get answers desperately from him. Let us read verse 3 to see how David spoke to Jonathan. Simply, he was comforting Jonathan and defending Saul. He told Jonathan that his father Saul was going to kill him, but Saul hadn't told Jonathan because he didn't want to upset Jonathan. David was so considerate. David wasn't angry or he wasn't questioning Jonathan. Why does your father want to kill me? Why didn't you tell me? Your father is so wicked, and he's the worst. I haven't done anything wrong, yet he wanted to kill me. David didn't speak in these manners. Instead, he comforted Jonathan and maintained a good image of Saul in Jonathan's heart. He said his father was a good man who would tell him everything. Saul didn't tell Jonathan because he loved his son. He didn't want to upset him or make him unhappy. Besides being simple, I also think David was Jonathan's true friend. His words were affectionate, positive, and encouraging. I think they were our role models for us. We all need to learn from David and Jonathan, who were so sincere and not calculating, and spoke words of encouragement, positivity, and confidence. Brothers and sisters, our words reflect our intention. In my experience, many brothers and sisters often speak pessimistic and negative words, lacking gratitude and joy. Very often, these brothers and sisters are not close to the Lord, and they are rarely influenced by His word. Therefore, they often think negatively and passively. There is a Chinese saying, "Nurture determines a person's character," which is quite meaningful. Brothers and sisters, the more we draw near to the Lord, the brighter and more glorious our spirits. Besides the simplicity of David, let's take a look at Jonathan, who was also very simple. I think Jonathan trusts his father deeply, and even so was his pride. He knew his father had once the great presence of God just like David. He also firmly believed that their relationship was strong. He thought his father Saul would never hide anything from him, no matter big or small. However, it was not the case. In other words, Jonathan didn't know his father well. I also think Jonathan looked on the bright side. He had a simple heart, naive and ignorant. Saul had indeed concealed from Jonathan that he was pursuing David and kept him in the dark. Instead, the one around Saul knew about it. As we can see, Jonathan couldn't accept his father Saul keep him in the dark and pursue David in verse 2 and 9. In verse 2, Jonathan said, "Far from it." In verse 9, Jonathan said, "Far be it from you." When David saw the response of Jonathan, David took it seriously as well. In verse 3, David said and swore that he hadn't lied. I feel it was a major test of their friendship. They had to clarify the truth and see who was right and who was wrong. So David proposed a method to test Saul's heart. According to the law, the new moon, which is the beginning of the month, has special sacrifice. Therefore, it is reasonable for David to request to return to his hometown, that is, to offer sacrifice in Bethlehem. Saul also knew David was not with Samuel anymore. Where did he go? If Jonathan act on his behalf of David at the table and asked his father to let him go to Bethlehem for sacrifice, which was suitable and acceptable, it was also a test whether Saul intended to kill David, and it would be good to see Saul's reaction. If Saul became angry, that meant he was determined to kill David, so they both agreed to do so before God. They have mutual assurance according to the Lord's steadfast love. David would show mercy to Jonathan and his family, while Jonathan would show mercy to David and his house. Thus, Jonathan made a covenant with the house of David in verse 16. Let us read verse 8 and take notice on the words of David. Therefore deal kindly with your servant, for you have brought your servant into a covenant of the Lord with you. But if there is iniquity in me, kill me yourself, for why should you bring me to your father? Firstly, see how David described himself. He named himself as a servant. He said twice that he was merely a servant, because he recognized Jonathan's father as king. Jonathan would inherit the throne. Jonathan was the prince, and David was only a servant. As we can see through David, that he had no intention of seizing the throne or replacing Jonathan. It was Saul who got upset over nothing, and he was jealous of David. David said that if there was guilt in him, he would rather Jonathan kill him. If you were Jonathan and heard these words, would you be heartbroken? I do. These words reveal the heart of David was pure and upright. He knew he was innocent. If he were guilty, he deserved to die. Yet he preferred to die in the hands of his friend. This shows his trust in Jonathan and without reservation. Their friendship was flawless, and he had complete trust in Jonathan. We've read up to verse 17 of this chapter only. So what was the outcome? How did Saul react? We'll share when we read verse 18 to verse 42 next time. Lastly, I'd like to appreciate Jonathan through this chapter, for he was the main character here. You may ask, wasn't David the main character? Yes, he was. However, the name David appeared 24 times, and the name Jonathan appeared 30 times in this chapter. It seems Jonathan was emphasized in this chapter. As I mentioned, I like to praise Jonathan specifically. I hope every one of us has the character of Jonathan, which is vital and precious. Shall we read verse 12 to verse 17 carefully? You may also notice Jonathan was God-centered. Whatever he did, his thought and his decision was God-centered. In verse 12, Jonathan said to David, "By the Lord, the God of Israel." The matter between Jonathan and David was a matter between two of them, yet God was in the midst of them, bearing witness. Isn't that wonderful? It turns out that friendship between them is not just a matter between these two. Most importantly, God is in the midst of them. Only this friendship is strong because they are not built on other foundations, not time, not money, not common interests, but on God. Only this friendship remains steadfast, withstanding all storms and trials. Such friendships are the most precious. Brothers and sisters, do you desire your relationships with brothers and sisters to be built on God? Be rooted in His faithfulness, His loving kindness, and His grace? And we love brothers and sisters with the love of God? I believe we all do. Then we should be God-centered like Jonathan. Let us put God as our first priority. Then we can build up close friendships with brothers and sisters. Similarly, if we desire for the strongest attachment with the Lord, we shall also be God-centered. For the Lord Himself is centered on God. God will firmly bind our hearts to His heart. Let us read verse 13. But should it please my father to do you harm, the Lord do so to Jonathan, and more also if I do not disclose it to you and send you away, that you may go in safety. May the Lord be with you, as He has been with my father. Jonathan assured David that he would keep his promise if his father intended to harm him. He would inform David for sure. Otherwise, he let God do him harm. In other words, Jonathan placed himself entirely in the hand of God. His loyalty to David was based on his faith in God and his fear of God. Everything he did was surrendered to God and centered on God. He prepared well and willing to accept all the judgment of God. You see, truly Jonathan had God in his heart. He wasn't just seeking to have a clear conscience, and his heart is for the Lord. Jonathan said in this verse, "May the Lord be with you." This was his blessing to David, and it was the most crucial blessing. He knew life did not depend on man, but God. Therefore, he wished for the presence of God to be with him. As you can see, what Jonathan valued most was the presence of God. Having God himself was the most treasurable. I won't go through verse by verse. You see in verse 14, "Show me the steadfast love of the Lord." Verse 15, "When the Lord cuts off every one of the enemies of David from the face of the earth." Verse 16, "The Lord will require it at the hand of David's enemies." You can find the Lord appeared in every word of Jonathan to David. Jonathan always mentioned God. Truly, Jonathan treasured God, valued God, and obeyed the word of God. It's a good reminder to me and all of us that everything in life should be God-centered. We shall magnify God, trust Him in all our decisions, and surrender ourselves to Him. I'm sure David must be grateful to have Jonathan as his friend. But do you know that the Lord Jesus also treasures us and longs for us to become His intimate friends? However, we should learn how to be close with the Lord. He knows how to be our friend, but we should also learn how to be His friend and respond to Him. There is one thing which is very important for us to be in one heart with the Lord and be His intimate friend. We shall be God-centered and live for His will, like the Lord. Then you'll find your friendship with Him grows closer and closer and unshakable. Brothers and sisters, that's all for my sharing. It's your time to draw near to the Lord and be face to face with Him. This is the most precious moment. Besides reading the Bible and singing hymns, you can also pour out your heart to Him. Most importantly, let your spirit come before Him and experience Him. Draw near to Him and enjoy the love fellowship between you and the Lord. This is how you draw near to the Lord. May the Lord bless you.